In the dawn of Israel's redemption, when the chains of Egypt's bondage had been shattered and the chosen people wandered the wilderness, groping toward the light of divine communion, the Lord Jehovah, the Almighty, spoke from the heights of his holiness. To Moses, his servant, he issued a command cloaked in mystery and majesty, to fashion a sacred vessel, a chest hewn from the unyielding acacia wood, its form adorned with the purest gold, a dwelling place for his presence and a conduit of his unassailable power. This was no mere artifact, no hollow emblem of a fleeting covenant. It was the Ark of the Covenant, a divine weapon, forged by the hand of man, yet animated by the breath of God. 1. The construction of the Ark. Upon the storm-swept summit of Sinai, where the heavens bent low and the earth trembled beneath the weight of divine utterance, God unveiled his design with precision that brooked no deviation. 2.5 cubits shall be its length, he decreed, 1.5 cubits its breadth, and 1.5 cubits its height. Acacia, sturdy and enduring, would form its frame, overlaid within and without by gold refined in the furnace of purity. 4 golden rings were fixed to its corners, through which poles of acacia sheathed in gold would pass, never to be removed, for this holy burden was not to be borne by profane hands, but by those consecrated to its service. Above this chest rose the mercy seat, a slab of gold untainted by flaw, where 2 cherubim, wrought of the same precious metal, stood sentinel. Their wings stretched forth in reverent arc, meeting above the seat, their faces turned inward as though beholding an unseen glory. Within the ark reposed 3 treasures, tokens of God's covenant and providence: the tablets of the law, graven by the finger of God with the 10 words that ordered the cosmos, a golden jar of manna, the bread of angels that sustained the weary in the desert, and Aaron's rod, once a lifeless staff, now blossoming with almond flowers as a sign of divine election. Yet these were but shadows of the true power within. The ark's might sprang not from its contents, but from him who dwelt above it, the Eternal One, whose voice shattered mountains and whose glance humbled the proud. From that hour, the ark ceased to be a relic. It became a throne, a sanctuary, and a weapon of heaven's wrath against the enemies of the Most High. 2. The Ark in battle. When the endless sands of the wilderness, scorched by the unrelenting sun and trodden by the weary feet of a redeemed people, yielded at last to the verdant borders of the promised land, the Ark of the Covenant rose as the radiant vanguard of Israel's hope. No longer a mere relic borne through desolate wastes, it stood as a beacon of divine intent, its golden form gleaming with the promise of a destiny ordained by the Almighty. The tribes, ragged from their wanderings, yet kindled with faith, approached the swollen banks of the Jordan, a river in full spate, its waters churning and roaring as though to defy the passage of God's chosen. Yet before this tumult, the priests emerged, their figures clad in linen white as the driven snow, a purity that mirrored the sanctity of their burden. Upon their shoulders rested the ark, its acacia poles steady in their grasp, its golden cherubim gazing heavenward as if summoning the power of the unseen. The moment came, a moment suspended between time and eternity, when the soles of the priests' feet brushed the torrent's edge. A silence descended, profound and otherworldly, a hush not born of the stillness of nature, but of the sovereign command of Jehovah. The river's raging voice fell mute, and the waters, as though seized by invisible hands, halted their ceaseless flow. Beneath this miraculous canopy, the riverbed lay bare, its stones dry as the desert they had left behind. Across this hallowed path marched the multitude, their eyes riveted upon the golden chest that cleaved the way before them, its presence a living testament that the God who had sundered the Red Sea now fought for them with unyielding power. Yet it was at Jericho that the ark's power blazed forth in full splendor. The city stood impregnable, its walls a monument to human defiance, its gates barred against the will of God. The Almighty spoke, and his word was law. For 6 days, the ark, encircled by warriors and priests, was to be carried around the city in solemn procession, the shofars silent, the people mute. On the 7th day, the circuit was multiplied 7-fold, a holy rhythm echoing the creation of the world. Then came the blast of trumpets, piercing the heavens, and the shout of the multitude, a cry that shook the foundations of the earth. In an instant, the walls of Jericho crumbled, not by siege engines or battering rams, but by the unleashed might of the ark, a force that sundered stone and struck terror into the hearts of the wicked. 3. When the weapon becomes a danger. Yet the Ark of the Covenant, though sanctified by divine decree and aglow with the radiance of God's presence, was no mere talisman to bend to human caprice. In the somber days of Eli, when Israel's faith waned like a dying flame and their hearts strayed from the paths of righteousness, a perilous arrogance took root. Ignoring the Lord's sovereign will, they summoned the ark into battle against the Philistines, a fierce and godless host, trusting not in humble supplication, but in their own presumption. The heavens held their breath as this defiance unfolded, and the clash that followed was a storm of divine retribution. The battlefield turned to a charnel ground. 30,000 sons of Israel, heirs to the covenant, fell beneath the enemy's blades, their blood seeping into the earth, a scarlet stain marking their folly. The air trembled with the priests' wails and the people's grief as the ark, God's sacred throne, where golden cherubim kept watch, was torn from its bearers and seized by pagan hands. The glory seemed to flee, leaving a nation shrouded in despair, their cries ascending like a mournful offering to a silent sky. But the Lord's presence yields to no captor. The Philistines, reveling in their plunder, bore the ark into the temple of Dagon, their idol of fish and falsehood, a grotesque affront to the Creator. At dawn, they found Dagon fallen, his carved face pressed into the dust before the ark's silent majesty. The next morn, his head and hands lay severed, a mute witness to his powerlessness. Then plagues descended, tumors blighted their flesh, death haunted their cities, a scourge sparing neither noble nor beggar. In panic, they yoked 2 milch cows to a cart, set the ark upon it, and watched as the beasts, unguided, turned toward Israel, bowing to the Holy One's unspoken command. 4. David and the return of glory. In the reign of David, the shepherd king whose spirit burned with love for God, a deep longing arose to restore the ark to its rightful place. Long had it lingered in Philistine fields, its glory dimmed by neglect, until David vowed to bring it to Jerusalem, the city of peace. Yet the journey was steeped in awe and dread. As the ark swayed on an ox cart, Uzzah, driven by good intent but lacking reverence, reached out to steady it. In an instant, God's wrath blazed forth, and Uzzah fell lifeless, struck by the sanctity he dared to touch. David, quaking before this divine severity, halted the procession, his heart caught between terror and worship. For 3 months, the ark rested in Obed-Edom's house, where the Lord's blessing poured forth. Fields bloomed, households grew, and peace prevailed like a gentle dawn. Emboldened, David returned, his fear now alight with joy. Clad in a linen ephod, he danced before the ark with wild abandon, each step a psalm of praise, each leap a sacrifice of the soul. The priests kindled burnt offerings, their smoke rising to heaven, while trumpets sang, and the people's voices swelled into a mighty chorus, shaking the hills with exultation. As the ark entered Jerusalem, the air shimmered with the weight of divine favor, a tangible glory that settled upon the city. The golden chest, once veiled in shadow, now stood as a beacon, and the presence of the Almighty returned to dwell among His chosen, a testament to His unyielding covenant and boundless grace. 5. Disappearance and the eternal mystery. The ark's earthly tale wanes in shadow. Before the Babylonian hordes laid waste to Jerusalem, shattering the temple and scattering its treasures, the ark vanished from the annals of men. No scribe records its fate, no conqueror boasts its capture. Whispers linger. Some say Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, bore it to Mount Nebo, where Moses glimpsed the promised land and breathed his last. The scrolls of 2nd Maccabees murmur of a cave, sealed by divine decree, where the ark lies hidden until the day of reckoning. Through the centuries, seekers have pursued it, scholars with their scrolls, mystics with their visions, kings with their armies. Yet the ark eludes them all, a secret guarded not by stone or sword, but by the will of God. For it is not a treasure to be unearthed by mortal hands, nor a relic to be claimed by the proud. Its silence speaks louder than its presence once did, a mystery that defies the grasp of time. 6. The Ark in Heaven. Yet the sacred writ offers a final glimpse, a vision transcending earth's frail bounds. In the revelation of John, the heavens part, and the temple of God is laid bare. Then God's temple in heaven was opened, and the ark of His covenant was seen within His temple. Revelation 11:19. Thunder rolls, lightning dances, and the earth quakes as the true ark shines forth. Not the chest of acacia and gold, but its eternal archetype, enthroned in glory. Was the earthly ark but a mirror, a fleeting shadow of the heavenly reality? If so, it was never lost but taken up, preserved in the courts of the Most High, its power undimmed, its purpose unfulfilled. There it waits, veiled in light inaccessible, until the hour appointed by the Father. 7. The final unveiling. In the latter days, when the skies split and the Son of Man descends with the armies of heaven, the ark shall reappear, not to wage war against fleeting kingdoms of dust, but to herald the reign of the kingdom everlasting. Its trumpets shall sound not for Jericho's fall, but for the gates of eternity to swing wide. Its glory shall no longer part rivers, but rend the veil between worlds. And its mercy seat shall be the throne from which the Lamb, slain yet victorious, judges the living and the dead. For the Ark of the Covenant is more than a weapon of God. It is the sign of His unbreakable promise, the vessel of His boundless might, and the harbinger of His eternal triumph. From Sinai's heights to heaven's throne, it endures, a mystery wrapped in majesty, awaiting the day when all shall behold its splendor and bow before the King it serves.